taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. And today I've got a video in my Buki. Yes, it was a game I played actually today, New Year's Eve. And by the way, Happy New Year's Eve all, and Happy New Year. Hopefully all of you have some amazing plans for the evening and are going to have a great time. I know I definitely do, so very much looking forward to that. In fact, once I get the video done, I'm then off to the old liquor store where I'm going to be buying a nice fine bottle of scotch, and I can't wait for that. Anyway, looking at this battle here, and why I wanted to show it is basically, earlier in the channel here I did talk about never giving up, right? What was the message exactly? It was actually quite a good message. If trying is the first step to failure, then failure is the first step to succeeding or something. I'm not 100% sure. It was really good, actually. Anyway, talking about it because this was one of those type of matches where, it just looked terrible for us. In fact, there was no real chance, I thought, of us actually winning this battle. But it turns out that myself and the teammates I had were able to turn this around and actually pull off a fairly nice victory in terms of my overall results and the team as a whole as well, which was nice to see. So obviously we're on Land of Fire here, and I'm moving out to the west side. The reason why I'm doing this is, as much as I hate to do it, all my battleships are going to go over here, right? It's just going to happen. I know it's going to happen. I hate how it happens, but that's what's going to happen. There are 4 enemy destroyers on the enemy team there, and I'm going to be screening my battleships. Yeah, I really don't want those enemy destroyers to be able to pick off the battleships early on with torpedoes, stealth torpedo runs and whatnot. So I'm going to be here to screen the battleships, and surprisingly we had some destroyer support up here as well. I expected my destroyers to go all to the east side, but it looks like for the most part my team is all heading west. Now, good and bad, right? Good in that we're all going to be together, we're all going to be able to support each other, but then it's bad in that it opens up my team's base for those enemy destroyers or enemy ships to just waltz right in there, right, and start capping. So I'm also keeping an eye on the base. I contemplated whether or not I should type it in chat, but I didn't actually do it. Maybe I probably should in terms of, communicating with the team and whatnot, but I sort of just assumed that everyone could see that as well, and that is really a bad assumption to make. I don't recommend making these sorts of assumptions. Anyway, I was going to do a nice wide screen against the battleships here, but you notice all the enemy aircraft popping up, so I immediately wanted to increase speed because I was cruising at 3/4, so I immediately increased speed to full and make sort of a more direct approach over to my battleships to also help screen them against the aircraft. Turns out though, my aircraft carrier didn't, he was all over that and wasn't going to have any of that, and managed to chase the enemy planes away in support of of some of my ally ships here as well. I mean, the battleships do have a Pensacola and a New Orleans with them, so that's providing a nice screen from AA as well, so that's not too bad at all. Now enemy ships start popping up, and it's at this point in time, you want to take a look at where you are on the map. Situational awareness, right? Look at where I am. There is not a whole lot of cover here, and I'm going to have to turn eventually to get myself out of the situation because I can't just keep driving forward. I'm going, and it's just going to kill me. And by turning, I'm going to be exposing a broadside, so it's tricky at this point, and you want to kind of hope that the enemy ships aren't targeting you and aren't really paying attention while you're in your turn. So I managed to get a shot off at the North Carolina. I am firing high explosive, it's a battleship at distance, so that just makes sense. And now just getting another full salvo off of them before I come across this island. So you can see how I used the island, right? It was there, and I made the hard turn to port so that I would pass behind the island, be able to use it as cover to shield me while I'm in this, this terrible broadside maneuver here. And then once I come around the island, noticing that there's not a whole lot of enemy ships trying to engage me at all, I can come out and I can start doing a nice hard turn to starboard, so that I can get some shots off, and just maneuver around here a little as well, and which is basically what I'm doing. Taking a look at the my ally ships, how they're grouped up, and I'm not really liking the way everything is grouped up right now. It's we don't have much spread and much coverage, and you can see on the mini map there that there are some destroyers making their way to our base. So okay, yeah, now we can see it happening. So I know that basically within the next minute or so, I'm going to have to decide what I'm doing here, whether I'm continuing the push with the battleships or if I'm just going to turn around and defend the base. And knowing me, I'm obviously going to be turning around and going to defend the base. It just has to happen. Admiral Hipper off in the distance though, so I'm able to get some shots into this guy, or rather put some shots out onto him. He's putting shots into me as well, but I'm able to avoid and dodge most of the shots that he's sending out at me. The Admiral Hipper is a great ship. I do love mine, and it is going to be a ship that I end up keeping. But you do got to keep in mind that the firing arc on the Admiral Hipper isn't as flat as, say, a Japanese cruiser. It's not as terrible, obviously, as an American cruiser, but it is higher, right? So you do got to lead the target a little more, but it's not so extreme as an American cruiser. So get one nice hit there, or a few nice hits on the Admiral Hipper. Managed to set him on fire, so that's not too bad at all. North Carolina over there is almost dead, so that's fantastic, because ideally too, before I left to go back to our base, I wanted to try and get some torps on him, but he's gone, don't need to worry about him. Another North Carolina pops up, and he's on fairly low health, so why not get some nice high explosive shots into him, see if we can't light this guy on fire and burn him down a little more. Very least, make him use the old repair ability, right? So if one of my enemy ships, allied ships are around, they might be able to finish him off, like for example my destroyer, who just launched torpedoes at him. Continue to put shots into him. You can see right at this point I'm making a beeline right towards the base, right? The enemies are capping it. They've got some destroyers in there, so it can't just stick around with these battleships up here. I have to turn and go and do something. You might have noticed at the beginning of the battle as well, in terms of the team list and what the enemy ships consist of, I am the tier 9 for my team, and I think the tier 9 for the enemy team was a destroyer, maybe. Not 100% sure on that, but anyway, yeah, so I have to go and do something. Plus I'm a cruiser, right? I'm fast, maneuverable, really flexible, and this is one of the nice, beautiful things about playing a cruiser, is I can go right from the offensive, basically the front of the firing line, and within a matter of minutes turn myself around and get down to a position where I can start defending the base. While I'm in route for the base, I do see enemy destroyers popping up, so they're within my range. I'm going to be taking shots off of them. Not concerned about approaching my base here in some sort of stealth mode, waiting until the absolute extreme for them to be able to detect me. Not concerned about that at all. They know I'm coming, and that's good. Maybe it'll make them think twice. Unfortunately, the enemy Polish destroyer out there managed to ground himself, so I get some nice shots into him, and then an ally gets some finishing shots into him, and he's gone. So fantastic. That's one less destroyer we're going to have to worry about. You'll notice here as well that there are enemy battleships coming into play here as well down by our base. There's 2 enemy turpets, so that kind of sucks. So there's one there. He's right on the ball, right, putting shots into me. Funny thing about the turpets that I wasn't even aware of that took place, but it did take place. The dispersion on your turpets has been changed, yes. So you're going to see it a lot in this next upcoming battles here I'm having with the turpets. I mean, there's a Pensacola and more destroyers and a New Orleans out there as well, but obviously I'm mainly focused and concerned about these turpets because they have the range and the caliber guns to really damage me and really mess me up here. But yeah, the dispersion has changed. I don't know why. Maybe just to balance it a little more. Who knows? But it's anyway, if you were wondering what happened, that's what happened. So more destroyers off into the distance, right? And I'm making the destroyers my primary focus at this time. Even though there is some targets in my base capping it right now, I'm still mostly concerned about the destroyers, because it's going to be the destroyers who can get in there, pop their smoke, and go invisible, and they're going to start accumulating the cap points. Whereas the larger ships, the cruisers and the turpets there, well, the New Orleans and the turpets there, they're going to be a lot easier to see, especially once they start firing. So that's why I want to focus on the destroyers. Once destroyers pop out of sight or I can't shoot at them, then I switch right over to the cruiser. or the next best target, whatever target is giving me the best opportunity to do the maximum amount of damage. So obviously that is the target that's presenting the broadside, right? So you can see the New Orleans is kind of turning at an angle here, but the Tirpitz is coming up showing full broadside, so switch over to the Tirpitz right away. The Tirpitz though did a nice maneuver there, right? Just by cutting in front of the New Orleans, his friendly New Orleans there, basically covered him, shielded him from our fire. But in turn, you know, he does take a few hits and a bit of damage. So I start taking shots from the Tirpitz, both of the Tirpitz that are here. And yeah, you can see my health is going down. I'm on fire. I had to use my repair here. So yeah, paying a bit of a price here. Now this Tirpitz is coming up and around this little island here, the headland. He's within my torpedo range, so I immediately launch both torpedoes on the starboard side of my ship here. I did one wide and one narrow spread, so I figure that should be good. In case he slows down or tries to maneuver, I might be able to hit him with just a few, maybe one torpedo. That's really all I'm looking to do at this point. I'm trying to stall them, right? Stall their cap. If you go in with the mindset, I find anyway, for me, if I go in with the mindset of wanting to kill them all right away, then I'm going to start taking some risky chances here and might not survive the battle here. As well, you'll notice, I mean, I took a big hit there, and I'm down to a little less than half, maybe a third health remaining, so gotta be careful here. So the Tirpitz out there was able to dodge the spread of torpedoes I launched from the starboard side of my ship. The Tirpitz, however, I mean, what I did was turn around and just launch my port torpedoes as well. And so the Tirpitz isn't going to be able to avoid those torpedoes, which is really nice. As well, because I've taken so much damage, I'm more or less just driving straight away from these guys, presenting as small target as possible, and opening up the distance. Because of the Tirpitz dispersion, I'm going to be using that to my advantage here. I get 4 torpedo hits on that Tirpitz, so that was fantastic. He's gone, and get a devastating strike for it as well, so not too shabby at all. There's the first kill for the battle as well. Alright, so there is the New Orleans once again. He popped up, and we still have the other Tirpitz, but the other Tirpitz is kind of hidden right now because he's in with the destroyer who has popped his smoke, so I can't really see what's going on over there, but I can see the New Orleans. So immediately start putting shots into the New Orleans. Again, not so much concerned about the damage I'm doing, more about just getting resets on the enemy cap here, because they pretty much have half our base capped at this point. We've only just started capping their base, so yeah. That was a really nice hit on the New Orleans, so not too shabby at all. Almost killed him, in fact. So just putting some more shots out and hope that I can get that guy, and then switch over to the Tirpitz, because you'll notice the Tirpitz popped up again, right? So that's all missed. Unfortunately, the New Orleans captain was smart enough just to be able to turn, but luckily I do have some allies who are able to finish him off, so that's not too bad at all. Now I'm focused on this Tirpitz. So this Tirpitz is below half health, but yeah, big hits coming in from him, so need to be careful here. I'm going to be using this island as cover while keeping the Tirpitz, you know, within my range. I need to be able to set him on fire and get this guy burnt and gone if we want to have any chance of winning. There are also still destroyers in our base who have the majority of the cap points as well, so that is fairly tragic, and I'm trying to do something about it, but I can't get in close because of this Tirpitz. He would just wreck me the closer I got to him, and I just don't have the hit points right now to be able to take that, so I gotta use my range, my maneuverability to my advantage, and try to, weave in between his shells. It was at this point here that I thought it was all over. Once this torpedo bomber squadron showed up here, I figured that was it for me. I immediately target him with my anti-aircraft guns and launch my plane as well. It's a little slow on launching the plane, but I do eventually get it launched, so fantastic. And now I got to be aware of them as well as incoming shots from the Tirpitz. The Tirpitz, though, is burning like no one else's business. You can see him over there burning away. My allies are near as well. They managed to, put some good hits into him. Then my fire takes him out, and he's gone. Second kill. Fantastic. You'll notice, too, that in doing all of this, we have reset the enemy cap points in our base more, almost back to the beginning, and so now we have the lead in capping the base, so that is fantastic. I mean, there were some naysayers on my team here, yes. There were people who were like, well, this is all gone, no one defended the base, blah, 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 but they weren't counting on myself and some of my friendly cruisers there in the background as well. I think it's an Thotgor and a Pensacola. So that is fantastic. Now we just have to deal with the enemy destroyers in our base, right? We managed to kill the 2 Tirpitz. The New Orleans is gone. No, now it's just enemy destroyers. So there is 1 enemy destroyer remaining in our base. Just a matter of getting this guy gone. So I'm just getting myself into a position now where I can kind of sneak up on him. If he's still even alive by the time I get there, right? Nah, didn't matter. Battle is over and we've won, yes. So, bringing it all back, it comes back to, never give up, right? Always try. Always try. Even when you've got the naysayers in chat there saying, oh, it's all over, blah, blah, blah. Try. Even if you don't end up, going back and successfully winning and defending the base and allowing your team to win, at the very least, you go down guns blazing and, that's what you want. You don't want to die in some corner or riding up the edge of the map, right? No, just charge in, guns blazing if all else fails. But at the end of the day as well, use your head. Try to maintain some sort of good defense. But anyway, the battle results weren't too shabby at all. We can see damage results here. I think this was about 100 and... Oh, I had it written down. I forget now. 129,000 damage, maybe? I'll go with 129,000 damage. Not too shabby at all. I mean, it's 1.5 times, right? I do have the Confederate flag on there as well, so 2 times in terms of experience. So I think it was about 6,000 experience there, so that's not too shabby at all. And credits earned were really good as well. I'm really satisfied with credits earned on this battle, because the plan is that I just need to buy the last hull upgrade for the Admiral Hipper. And then I'm going to start saving money for the Zhao. Yes, I'm about maybe 140, 130,000 experience away from the Zhao, so I think I can get it relatively quickly. I just need to grind the Ibuki here a lot more, so that's not too bad at all. Anyway, just while I run back to port here, just taking a look at the old Ibuki here as well, you'll notice shortly popping up the screen, I'm fairly, I'm looking at my cabin ability, so I'm getting up to the 4th ability here, and I was thinking obviously last stand, right? I was going to get last stand for the Ibuki. But then I start looking at Demolition Expert, and makes me wonder, maybe I might want that. I'm not 100% sure, so just something sort of, I'm thinking about here anyway, once I get the 4th ability for the Ibuki. Anyway, that's today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it as well. As always, leave any comments you have for me there. I love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you were not a subscriber, and as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.